You're the perfect blend of elegance and style, and your ride should be no different. The 2024 Hyundai Sonata Hybrid meets all your needs, from business to brunch and everywhere in between. With head-turning details like a sleek front end, plus stylish interior, and an available 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster and seamless tech integration. Okay, Hyundai. Visit HyundaiUSA.com to learn more about the new 2024 Hyundai Sonata Hybrid.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Hi, it's Dave here. This is my wife, Kathy.
Hello.
This is the Cinemile. It's the podcast where we walk home from the movies. Today, we are walking to a movie called Captain America, Brave New World. Are you feeling brave, Kathy? In this new world?
I'm feeling like someone who's seen all the Captain America movies and watched the entirety of the TV show. What was it called again?
It was called Captain America and the Winter...
Falcon
no,
and the Winter
Falcon
Soldier.
and the Winter Soldier, yeah.
And who's seen all the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
And who is concerned because I have no interest in this film.
Do you remember the last time you saw a Captain America film?
Captain America film?
Yeah.
No.
It was, get this, 9 years ago. It was episode
really?
2 of this podcast.
That's the last one.
Captain America Civil War was the last one, yeah.
And that was what, the second or third one?
It was the third one. I
So the only one...
really enjoyed myself. I seem to remember you having an absolutely terrible time because you couldn't understand why they were fighting and why they didn't just talk to each other.
I loved the first Captain America. Like, to me, the Captain America story about, you know, him being a super soldier in World War II and being frozen and all that stuff, like, that's my jam. So that was the aspect of it I was always interested in. Yeah, I'm a bit concerned about this. Like, I really like Anthony Mackie, so it's not about him. It's just, but what is Captain America if he's not the guy who was frozen in World War II? Like, this is just someone else in a Captain America costume then.
Well, that's fine. That's not my concern. That's actually a rich tradition in the comics. It got handed to Bucky was Captain America for a while. The Falcon, like,
I've seen
that's
the show,
very common.
and that other guy was kind of an evil Captain America in the show. I'm just like, to me, that was only the ever bit I was interested in. So the further it removes from that,
yeah, fair enough,
the less I'm interested.
I have zero interest in this movie, but not for those reasons. I just don't care anymore with my relationship with the MCU, and I would.
It's like a toxic relationship.
Yes, it is.
You can't get out of.
I would imagine. I'd love to hear from our listeners to see if anyone else feels like this. I feel like this is a long. You're in a long relationship with someone. The spark has fizzled out. Mm-hmm. You're both trying to recapture some old magic,
Sounds
going
like
through the
marriage,
motions.
To be honest.
But it's just not there, and neither of you kind of want to be the one to break up with the other one.
I think
they're going to keep giving us the movies, and we're going to keep showing up.
But the problem for you
someone
is,
has to make the first move.
like, I was never that into the movies, so while they have declined in quality, my interest has declined. But there wasn't much to fall, you know. For you, like, you loved them, so I think for you it's much harder.
The love run deep.
Yeah, you experience more sadness around them, whereas I'm like, I acknowledge they've dropped in quality, but I never loved them to begin with.
Yeah,
so, like, for
enough.
me it's fine. I don't take it so personally.
You didn't get into a long-term relationship.
Exactly.
You didn't invest so much of yourself. You didn't move in with the MCU, invite them into your home.
The two I always liked the most were the first Thor and the first Captain America. So, like, they were so long. It's been so long since I really liked them. And obviously I loved Endgame.
It's 15 years ago.
Like, Endgame was brilliant. I loved Endgame. But, like, you know, we haven't seen much since. And WandaVision, we loved that TV series. But the TV series diluted the movie so much. the TV series in particular, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I thought was the beginning of the end.
Yeah,
and
it was bad.
It was basically the one after WandaVision.
It was
and I
really
was like,
bad.
oh, after that I have no interest in the TV shows. It killed the TV shows for me.
And that's another reason I'm not interested in this movie, because it's from the same, I believe it's the same writers as that show.
And like in that show, Anthony Mackie wasn't even Captain America. Like there was a different one, Kurt Russell's son or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like,
who's starring in the Thunderbolts, which is coming out.
I know he was I know that Captain America handed Anthony Mackie like the shield in one of the last movies.
Yeah.
So like there has been a passing of the baton. Like that's totally fine. I just feel like, I don't know, there's just no buzz around this film. No one's talking about it. I think the biggest sign in our decline of it, like we'll always go to the Marvel movies, but opening weekend we went to Bridget Jones and we didn't go to this. Like if that had happened before, we'd have gone to,
and I'd do it again.
We'd have gone to both in the same weekend. Like we'd have made that work.
Yeah.
Whereas we were just like, nah, we'll see Captain America next week. You know, like there was no desire to be like seeing it as soon as it came out.
Anyway, I agree. We're nearly there. I think there's a few things. I know you say you've seen all these movies, and that is true. But you also are notorious for not remembering anything about any movie you've seen.
I only remember his love story. Do you know what I mean? That's all I cared about with him.
I might give you a little bit of context that might be useful for you. And
not to bring up Mel Gibson because I hate him. But do you remember that movie Forever?
He's not in this one.
I know, but do you remember that movie Forever where he was frozen?
Yeah. Forever Young? Was that it?
I just loved that movie.
That.
And that was my vibe with Captain America, and that was what I was interested in.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. Okay, so Harrison Ford is in this. He's playing a character that was previously played by William Hurt, who has been in the MCU since the second ever film, The Incredible Hulk. So he was Liv Tyler's dad, who was chasing the Incredible Hulk. And then in Civil War, he was a general or something that was trying to impose sanctions on the Avengers.
I'm sorry, I just fell asleep for a second. As we were
yeah, why am I doing this?
Initially, my soul just left my body. No, but continue for the listener's sake.
Okay, basically, because I just know you're going to be leaning in and whispering stuff to me in this movie. Anytime anyone will show up on screen, has he been in it before?
Surely at this stage they're acknowledging that no one will remember anything.
It's very convoluted, yeah. But basically, Harrison Ford is playing William Hurt's character. He has been in it before.
Why was
and
he
he's
recast?
now the president. Because sadly, William Hurt died.
Oh, I didn't realise. Okay.
Yeah.
That is sad.
Great actor. And yeah, that's all you need to know, really. You remember the TV show, right? Intimately. So the beginning of the TV show, Anthony Mackie's character
I
Falcon.
remember the Incredible Hulk movie.
Of course you do. Well, actually, there's a villain.
That's in the Edward Norton one.
Tim Blake Nelson is in this movie reprising his role from the Incredible Hulk, which was 17 years ago.
The Edward Norton movie, not a Mark Ruffalo.
Correct. The Edward Norton movie
okay.
is there's a villain from that who's back in this 17 years later.
This is where Marvel would be like, see, we planned it all along.
Some deep cuts. Anyway, I don't know. I don't think I should give you any more descriptions of things.
Is there something I'll need to know? Tell me that.
I don't know. I haven't seen the movie. I don't even know what it's about.
Okay.
Harrison Ford is in. Well, I know a big thing in the trailer.
I like Harrison Ford and I like Anthony Mackie.
Yeah.
So they're two positives.
Giancarlo Esposito is in it.
Okay, I like him.
He's presumably playing his character.
Presumably.
A well-spoken, calm, chilling villain.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be interesting to see how busy this is as well. It did okay in the box office, but I think it's still done worse than like Ant-Man and kind of recent flops. And I also saw that it has the lowest cinema rating of all time, including for like
for an MCU movie.
For the like Eternals and Marvels and all those flops. Apparently people don't like it. Yeah, but again, I would say that like a lot of that may be to do with just fatigue with the franchise and expectation, and it's never gonna.
Also, Anthony Mackie came out. You just can't win. He came out and said something recently along the lines of, "This character is not so much about America. He's about honesty, dignity, and all these core values or whatever." And it should be very accessible for everyone. And the internet was like, the Americans on the internet were like, in uproar, and then he had to reverse his comments and say something like, I love America. I've always loved America, and I love the troops and something about people who serve.
God.
And I'm like, what is this?
What are you talking about?
This
is a fictional film. Anyway, we shall be back.
But people were also pointing out that Chris Evans said almost the exact same thing 10 years ago.
Yeah, well, politically...
To no controversy whatsoever.
Politically,
I wonder what the big difference is between them.
Yeah, anyway, we shall be back after we've watched, what's it called? Captain America and the Winter Soldier?
Captain America and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier take Manhattan.
Okay, great.
Is what it's called.
Can't
See you soon.
Bye.
You know I've been no fan of heroes, but even I can't deny the good that you've done. Work with me, Sam. The country needs Captain America.
Tonight is the first step towards lasting peace across this brave new world.
Stand by for proof of death.
Go, go, go!
Your inner circle's been compromised. Either you can't see that or you don't want to.
What do you think they talk about us?
The country is on the brink of war.
Facts.
There's someone behind all this.
Facts.
Watch yourself. You're not Steve Rogers. You're right. I'm not.
Okay, hi, we're back. We've seen Captain America, Brave New World. If it's your first time here at the Cinemile, there won't be any spoilers until we get to Spoiler Street, which is on our way home. Kathy, how you feeling? How are you? Is everything okay?
Everything's fine. And one of the things that has happened with a lot of Marvel movies over the years
Yes.
is that they can often have a lot of plots. And in recent years perhaps been a bit incoherent. So what I would say in this film's favour is that it essentially had one plot that was very easy to follow.
Yeah.
This film is not as bad as I was expecting it to be, and Harrison Ford I thought was probably barely going to be in it and like barely doing much, and actually
He's in it loads.
And he does a brilliant job.
I was surprised by that as well.
Yeah, he's really going for it. You know, he's not, often actors, like big actors like him, can kind of phone it in when they come into the Marvel universe. He's not doing that.
I don't know if I agree with that, but go on.
I think he was good. I think Anthony Mackie's good. Like, it was all fine. Like, to be honest, I have no problem with this film. It was just a bit dull, a bit corny. I'll get into it in Spoiler Streets because I don't know what's in the trailer for this film, so...
Too much, it turns out.
Oh, right, okay. Like, there's some stuff that I was excited to see. Some characters I'm excited to see back. Honestly, look, it's totally
What
fine.
were you excited to see?
I was excited to see, is this a spoiler or not? You can tell me.
No, just wait till spoilers.
Okay, I'll wait till spoilers. Yeah, like, honestly, the movie's fine. Like, by the end, I was just like, okay, this is too corny and too boring. It's very dark looking. Like, there's no... Like, visually, there's nothing good to look at here. Except for the Red Hulk when he comes in, which is, like, way too late in the movie. And yeah, it's just a bit of a big old meh, but I didn't hate it at all. Like, it's totally fine. It's just, I didn't find it like particularly ambitious or interesting.
Yeah.
Dave, what did you think?
I agree with everything you say, but I don't agree with the bit where you said it's fine. It's not fine. It's bad. This
not
is a
bad.
bad movie. No, it is
movie.
bad. It is actively bad.
It's not actively bad.
Okay, fine. Look, at best, it is average, and.
Yeah, which is fine.
I guess, but it's just no. It's a bad movie. It is. I was stunned at how subpar this movie is. Like, we have come so far from what the MC used to be, which was a cut above what we'd had from other movie studios that were making superhero movies. Like, they were just better enough because they were charming. They did this sort of, they had characters who were kind of witty and quipping with each other, which now has been done to death and is boring.
I mean, there's no humor in this film.
This movie is so, when there are characters in this who are bantering with each other, and I died inside.
Yeah, the banter was painful.
It was painful. The dialogue, the core problem with this movie is the writing is shocking. It is abysmal.
Bad, yeah.
The plot is boring. The plot is bad. Everything you said's corny.
You know, I think the plot was actually good.
It's barely okay.
I was into the plot, and And there was a brief point in time where I was like engaged, like actually quite engaged in the plot, but then they just blew it, you know.
I kept waiting for something interesting to happen. And the only interesting thing that happens, this isn't a spoiler, this is a warning. The only interesting thing that happens in this movie is the Red Hulk. And it was spoiled in the marketing. And the whole movie builds up to that moment. I'm like, are you fucking
Even I knew the Red Hulk was in this film. Like,
this is all you got. Because they obviously had this movie and they were like, they clearly, I'm sure when this was all coming together, they were like, this will be a cool secret. And if we keep this secret, you know, it'll be amazing. We did it with Spider-Man. You know, we can keep secrets. And it'll be a huge reveal and the audience will go, whoa, and they'll all cheer. And that would have been an interesting moment. But then I'd say they looked at the rest of the movie and said, like, oh, we've got nothing. Yeah. We cannot market this movie without the Red Hulk. So therein lies the problem, in that there is nothing of interest in this movie.
What is interesting to me is that as a young man, Harrison Ford, well, a youngish man, Harrison Ford used to play the American president. Now, as an old man, he plays it, and that's true to life, because there are only old men in the American White Office now. The American White House office. Sorry, I'm so tired.
I mean, I felt
like, he's
nothing.
So old, and it's not farcical that he's president, and that alone was alarming. Oh yeah, you know, like the Red Hulk thing. It's a shame it was in the trailer, because I would have enjoyed the film more.
The movie plays it like it's a surprise.
When's he turning into Hulk? Like, why hasn't it happened yet?
And this is the problem with this movie, is that I, as an audience member, was never once surprised. So you're watching characters be surprised all the time in this movie, and they are constantly discovering things about the plot that we as an audience member are way ahead, and I can't wait to list them out in spoiler street.
We watched the movie, we just walked out of the cinema, and my brain's forgetting it.
It's happening right now. I can see you.
My brain is being eaten alive. I can't remember what happened.
I wish I had your ability. Can you erase this movie from my brain?
In 1 hour's time, I won't remember this film. Like, truly won't remember this film.
Here's a telling thing, right? Our local cinema was naturally also showing Bridget Jones, which we've learned since we've did our episode is not in the cinemas in the US, which is mad. But I guess maybe it doesn't play as well over there. But
come on.
But this movie and Bridget Jones finished at the same time. 5 people walked out of our screen. Now that's wrong. 2 people walked out first, which were us, because I refused to sit through the end credit sequence. I just googled it and to see what it might be, and I was like, nope.
Because Dave said it's not worth.
I'll tell you in spoilers.
And like, you used to be the one who'd make me wait for them, and I'd be rolling my eyes.
Well, this is telling, because
and now I was like, shouldn't we wait?
If 9 years ago, when we saw a Captain America movie and a Bridget Jones movie, if you'd have told me 9 years from now your opinions on these 2 movies are going to completely flip, because Bridget Jones is 100 times the movie that this is.
I would say it's 1,000 times the movie.
Yeah, Bridget Jones 4 is very good. Captain America 3 much better than Bridget Jones 3.
Basically,
they flipped.
There was like 8 people in our screening, and this is the second weekend of the movie, and the Bridget Jones screening was the biggest screen in there, number 1. Ours was in number 3. Yeah. And it was completely full.
Oh my God, there were just dozens of people coming out of Bridget Jones with smiles on their faces. And we were waiting outside. I was waiting for you in the bathroom, and I watched the 3 other people in Captain America slink out from their miserable post-credits experience that I've read. I mean, like, I am not waiting around for this.
I felt almost like leaving before. Like, I've often not paid attention to the end credits or left before, but like, seeing you do that was just sad to me, you know. No, I'm okay. I'm through this. I feel now with these movies, watching that, I feel what people who were never into the MCU must have felt watching these movies for 15 years. I'm like, what? And if I had a boss years ago who came in and did a really embarrassing thing, but it always stuck with me. He wrote up on a whiteboard somewhere. He just wrote up the words "not good enough," and then stood there and watched the entire company for a reaction. That's what the people at Marvel need from this movie. This movie is, how did anyone look at this and say,
this'll do. You know, this does not meet any of the standards that this studio
Got
has
Harrison
previously
Ford
set.
as the president, and this is all you got. Do you know what I mean?
What a waste!
Like, I know
of
the
him.
way I was saying that, like, there can often be too much going on. But,
There
like,
wasn't
this
enough
was
going on.
Yeah.
There's not enough. I was
give
like,
you credit for like having a plot that I can follow, and that isn't resulting in the end of the world and a giant fight in Manhattan where I'm watching 500 superheroes battle it out. Like, I'm glad that they're not doing
Sure,
that anymore.
yeah.
But then they've gone too small with this one. It's like, ooh, it's just the Hulk and Captain America fighting on their own
I thought
in a forest.
the villain is boring, and everything is boring, and
I liked
it's
the
filled
villain, but
with.
he was given nothing to do. But I actually thought the villain was
He was
class.
fine. Tim Blake Nelson's a fine actor, and he's wasted here, and he's not interesting, and nothing happens.
Come on, should we go to spoilers?
Yeah, let's go to spoilers. Anyway, I would warn people off this movie. I think it's actively. I thought it was a boring experience. It isn't worth it. It won't add anything to your life.
Well, even in our Patreon,
it detracted from my
our
life.
patrons who've got like teenage kids were saying that the teenage kids were like, "That's so boring. I'm never watching one of those again."
Yes, yeah.
Like, because even our 5-year-old is obsessed with Red Hulk. I think he knows him from like Spidey and His Amazing Friends or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the Red Hulk in Spidey and His Amazing Friends is more interesting than the Red Hulk in this movie. Like, the Red Hulk stuff was so boring.
So boring.
It just didn't
Okay,
land. Do you know what it reminded me of? And I know I kind of trashed the Marvel TV shows before we went in.
I can't believe that TV show was better than this.
Shout out
what
to
the
She-Hulk.
hell?
Shout out to She-Hulk. because
She-Hulk's
I forgot to say
way better than this.
That was so good.
Yeah.
And I sat through this film going, I wish I was watching She-Hulk. That was so
I
fun.
wished I was watching the Falcon and the Winter Soldier when this was on, and that's a bad TV show.
Anyway, come on, we'll go to spoilers.
No,
for
before
this.
we do go to spoilers, I would like to quickly shout out some of our new patrons over at patreon.com/The Cinemile. So thank you to Jill, to Emma Burke, to Christina Theodorou, to Alex Kerr, Kelly Selberg, Matt Toohey, and to somebody who has just identified themselves as Unoriginal Alias.
Nice.
So thank you all for
Thank
joining.
you.
We got many more new patrons. We'll shout you out in a future episode. Thank you for joining our Cinemile High Club over at patreon.com/The Cinemile, where we do retro movie clubs every month. So this month we are talking about Saturday Night Live fronted movies. We also do regular Severance weekly TV recaps.
We're going to be reviewing White Lotus season 3.
Yes.
We talk about
Not
a lot
weekly,
of TV.
but we're going to be doing some
We're going
catch-ups
to be
on
doing
that.
catch-ups on that, and also in our Patreon chat, which is the most fun. We've got a chat going for books, chat going for TV shows, chat going for movies,
Yeah.
and chat going for video games.
And it's so busy,
really
and
fun.
they're a lovely bunch.
Yeah.
It's my favorite part of the internet.
Yeah, mine too.
It's the only one I feel is a safe space anymore.
Me too.
Ah.
Anyway, we are now going to spoiler street, so you may hear a quick ad.
Love, exciting and new. Hello, Hannah Waddingham here. Have you seen the fabulous new Sun Princess? World-class entertainment, exceptional dining, and the greatest pizza ever. It's a love.
Don't miss our Come Aboard sale with up to 40% off and free room upgrades. Visit princess.com or call your travel advisor to book. Princess Cruises. Terms and restrictions apply. Offer ends 2/28/25. Ships at Bermudan and British Registry.
Okay, so last spoiler warning for this movie. Although
I tell
please
you-
don't see this.
The thing that I really liked, but I wasn't sure if it was a spoiler or not, was
Yeah, go ahead.
the old super soldier.
Oh,
Him.
yeah.
I couldn't remember what movie he'd been in, but I remembered really liking him, and when he came back, I was really happy to see him.
Oh, he wasn't in a movie. He was in the TV show.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's a brilliant character.
He's great in this. I liked him. Yeah.
His plot was really interesting. Like, at the beginning when all that stuff was happening, I was like, oh, I'm on board. Like, this is not what I was expecting.
The only bit that like I cared about anything that was happening in the
With
movie
him.
was when he was in prison
Yeah.
and he looked so
I
sad.
know, I was like,
And
I obviously wouldn't cry at this movie, but if I had been, it was the only emotional part of the film.
yeah, Carl Lumley is fantastic in this role.
So good. I really cared about him, and I was really interested in all the stuff with like when he stood up and shot at the president. I was genuinely like that was an interesting part of the
Actually,
film.
yeah, that was surprising.
Like that was when I was really with the film.
Although it doesn't make sense as part of Brainiac's plan. It doesn't make sense. His plan was to start a war with the US and Japan. All he had to do was leak the intelligence that starts the war.
The most statistically likely thing.
Why did he do that?
Because he wanted Captain America out of the picture, I guess. But what I think was outrageous, and this was right as they were walking into the White House, the three lads doing the selfie. I was like, no one's patting them down. No, there's no security measures. You can just waltz into the White House in this world.
Yeah.
So I wasn't a bit surprised.
No, because later in the movie, his security person, who are we supposed to know who she is? She's a friend of Sam's. I don't know. She goes. She says, like, after all the shit's gone down, she comes into the Oval Office and says to President Harrison Ford, she says, "Sir, I just want you to know we've screened everyone, all the guests." And
we've done a sweep 3 times.
We've done a sweep 3 times. And the road's gone. And I was like, go on.
You should be doing that before the president eats his fucking breakfast.
I know. Isn't that your job? Why would you come into him?
The most basic thing that the security of the president could be doing. And she was like so proud of herself.
I just want you to know that we've checked all the people who are going to be near you to see if they have weapons.
But anyway, so
they don't.
That stuff was all interesting. Like, I do think there was a good plot in this film. There
wasn't.
It was just so lackluster. Like, at one
lackluster. It's lifeless. It is limp.
One of the biggest issues for me was, well, not one of the biggest issues, but an issue for me is the new Falcon character.
Oh,
nothing wrong with the actor.
There is no chemistry.
No,
the actor is trying really hard, but the two of them have no on-screen chemistry.
But it's also too forced. Like, we don't know him. So
forced.
So, like what I think this film really should have done is, we got no time alone with Captain America, like the new Captain America. Like, basically, we see him at the very beginning. He's
in a bar and he gets a free drink.
He's in a bar and he gets a free drink.
That's all we get
And like,
of his life.
I know we watched a whole TV show about him, but A, it was in 2020. I don't remember that. And B, not on the big screen. He's always been like the 12th billing in the movies, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, we really could have done with even like a scene of him being himself and not Captain America. Like, we knew so much about
in the TV show
Steve
he was
Rogers.
fixing a boat or something.
Like, it's just like the film, but the film didn't give us anything. So I was just not ever invested in him. And then we're straight into the banter with him and the new Falcon, and I'm like, oh, I don't know who this guy is.
The banter
and
is
you're already coming
terrible.
in a bit like, you know, ooh, they've changed Captain America, and maybe I feel a bit uneasy. And the film never like put me at ease.
Yeah, well said.
Or made me feel confident that this is the new Captain America. Like, I don't think they gave Anthony Mackie a proper chance. I'm sure they probably filmed some of that stuff and just didn't use it. So he's just all business, all action for the whole movie.
The action's boring as well.
Yeah, like, I was looking at the fight scenes and I was thinking, do you know, they're actually technically very good. But at no point was I interested.
They're not interesting.
Yeah.
Because for fight scenes to be good, you need stakes and you need to be impressed.
Like, right at the beginning, he's fighting this guy and they're like making all these quips to each other, and like, I was already sighing. I was like, who is this guy?
This is the level of banter that you get in this movie, which is just the most cliche, terrible dialogue. It's like, Sam, there's people coming in your 6. I can't do that right now. I'm a little busy. I'm taking care of some bad guys.
And it's just like,
it's just like,
okay.
I'm a little busy right now. Are you kidding me?
And then they're like,
that would be in the like a TV show from the 90s.
The bad guy comes in. I thought you'd be bigger. And then Captain America's like, sorry to disappoint you. And we're like, no,
stop.
This is 10 minutes into the film.
Also, Giancarlo Esposito is bad in this as well.
He's just bad.
He's got nothing to do. Why is he in this?
He's the same as he is in everything.
Also, like, at one point, like, when him and Sam Wilson are having the fight and this hand-to-hand fight, I'm like, he's a 65-year-old man. I'm sorry. I just don't buy that. Anthony Mackie, whatever, the Captain America, that's his name, Sam Wilson. There you go. He's like beating the shit out of this 65-year-old man in a junkyard.
Yeah, but
he just seems like a normal guy.
Yeah, but Dave, come on. He just blew up his van with a machine gun and then threw a grenade.
He's not enhanced or anything, is he?
Yeah, but like, he just tried to viciously murder
I know,
him.
sure, but it's just like, I didn't buy it.
Okay, if you were Harrison Ford.
Also, sorry.
Listen, if you were Harrison Ford and you mutilated a scientist with gamma, and then you kept that scientist prisoner for 15 years, would you take pills that scientist made for you?
Yes,
like,
I 100%
no questions
would.
asked.
Because none of the doctors could fix me. But this man has a big brain.
And then,
look at it.
When you become president, you're like, I'm not letting you out. And then he gets really angry and he starts mind controlling everyone. My question is this: why didn't he just let himself out of prison if he's that powerful? Why is he still in this prison, just mind controlling everyone?
Because it's all part of his plan, his master plan. Don't you see?
Like
where he can tap into any radio station or any radio frequency anywhere,
and just talk to people.
or talking to the
scene where this completely
the president's.
lost me.
Why did he go into that admiral's house and kill all those guys?
Okay, I think that I honestly
What was that about?
I think there was loads of stuff cut because
This is like there's stuff in this that just doesn't
He
connect.
must have been an admiral who like pissed him off in the Hulk movie 17 years ago that none of us remember.
Look, what was that? There's a whole scene where he shows up to a guy's house and just kills him.
I think
and
he
everyone...
must be from the Edward Norton movie, and like we're supposed to remember him.
I don't...
The scene that like made me totally check out of the film was the it's like Japan and America are on the brink of war, and he's like, we need 2 birds in the sky, and Anthony Mackie's like, you got 2 birds right here.
Oh, stop!
What?
Stop.
And then they go in and they're like fighting against like the Americans and the Japanese, who were like shooting bombs at them, and then something really briefly happened that I was into where either Captain America or the Falcon started like surfing on a bomb, but that lasted for like 1 second, and then that was the only good bit of that scene. But anyway,
You liked when he surfed on the bomb.
That whole thing, and then you're cutting to Harrison Ford in his headpiece. The bad guy is like to him, you know, talking shit to him and making him really angry, and I was like, Harrison Ford, just take the headset off.
I know, yeah.
Why are you listening to this? Like when we started seeing his calves twitching and we thought they were going to get big, I was like, yes, like turn into Red Hulk now.
I wanted him to do that in the middle of the ocean and start tearing apart the Navy. Why didn't that happen?
It was so...
that would have been far more interesting than
really
half-arse Top Gun and Birds in the Sky.
Oh my God, I had the exact same thought. I was like, is this trying to be a Top Gun? Because it's so shit.
It's pathetic.
And then when the new Falcon is like, I'm gonna fly into this thing, and Anthony Mackie's like, don't do it, and then the new Falcon did it anyway. I was like, you deserve to die. He told you not to do it. We don't care about you. Why is the film focusing on this?
When you actively want a character to die,
it's bad.
things
Just
are gone
for
wrong.
something interesting to happen.
Things are gone wrong.
At that moment, I wanted the president to turn into Red Hulk and kill everyone, and I wanted the Falcon to die.
I wanted anything of interest to happen. like somebody do something.
Yeah, something's gone terribly wrong.
Oh my God.
Also, when Bucky showed up, and like he's normally quite charismatic.
Why is he a politician?
He was so boring when he showed up.
He would be the worst politician.
Yeah, he literally showed up, did nothing interesting either. And then I was like, oh, at least let Liv Tyler show up. And then I was like, do you know what? She's too good for this movie. No, but then she did show up. What do you think about the trailer we saw beforehand that I think looks actually good? And
Thunderbolts? Yeah, that might be okay.
I think, do you know what?
It looks like it's got a bit more life and muster than this movie.
It's just something a bit different and new, and like some of our favourite characters.
No, I don't think it's that different. It just looks like... my fear with that movie is it's going to be Suicide Squad, the first version. That's what that movie is doing. And I feel like...
it's not Julia Louis-Dreyfus, remember? Like, I'm optimistic.
No, I'm now at like... My expectations are so rock bottom now on any Marvel movie. Like, we are in the dumps here.
I don't remember them ever disbanding the Avengers, but this film is positing that happened.
I guess it just fizzled out like this Marvel Cinematic Universe.
But like right at the end, in probably what was one of the best, or at least the most real or emotional scenes, was actually right at the end. It was the only scene where Captain America and the new Falcon like meshed, and it.
In the last scene.
Yeah,
that was a good scene in the raft.
And then he's like, we're bringing him back.
Oh no, that scene, yeah.
No,
that
in the hospital.
Yeah, that was all right. Yeah.
And then I just felt like it was the only scene where their banter wasn't so bad. And then I felt like an emotional connection, and I think the Falcon guy, whose name I do not know, got to show his actual acting chops instead of just being like really annoying. But then he's like, we're going to bring the Avengers back, and I feel like that's supposed to be a big moment, but I'm like,
I
the
don't care.
Avengers again?
Also, sorry, who are you going to put in the Avengers?
Well, aren't they
who do we care about? I don't care.
They're bringing
anyone.
Iron Man back, aren't they? Are they bringing Tony Stark back, or Iron Man or something?
Yeah, he's going to be in the new Fantastic Four series as the villain or something. He's Doctor Doom.
Oh, okay. Yeah, who is left of the Avengers then? It's just these two lads and the owl
Who's
fella.
going to be in it? Like Hawk,
I guess you're
Girl.
One. We haven't talked about it, but the actress she was in a Netflix show we watched last year that we really enjoyed, Bodies. I guess she's the new Black Widow.
She was terrible. I'm sorry. She was a boring character. She was really terrible.
Oh yeah.
And also she sparked a load of controversy because she's an incredibly controversial character in the comics because she's a former Mossad agent in comics that apparently depicted very racially stereotypical depictions of Palestinians.
Oh, God.
So there was a lot of controversy around her character. They removed the Mossad bit. But
As in this film?
so why bother? Why bother going to that character is from comic books with a rich history of racism.
Oh, because obviously I've never heard of her.
So why bother going to bat and introducing
weird.
this character just to have this nothing
She
burger?
does nothing. They could have just brought in she's one of the widows. Like, they didn't need to bring that.
Exactly. It's like if you're going to reach into your comic vault and pick out
That's so weird. Without that baggage, without knowing that, I thought she was grand. I had no problem with her, but it was just like uninteresting. And then at one point,
so boring. She's just strutting about, pouting.
Her and the two lads get into a car, right, to drive off to Captain America's friends. And when they arrive, she goes, "Where are we?" And he goes, "I called in a favor." And I'm like, you were in the car together for like 10 to 12 hours. If he was calling in a favor, you heard him on the phone.
And at what point are you going to ask, where are we going?
Yeah, what's
Are you going to wait till you get there to say, where are we?
Their dialogue was just bad.
The dialogue was shocking, but the plot, this is a B movie from the 90s. I can't believe how shocking it was. But the biggest failure of this movie is the Red Hulk is when the movie wakes up and comes to life, and I've said everything I have to say about it because they spent it in the marketing, and what you get is you're watching the movie and the movie's building up to this huge moment. Like what's up with him? The monster inside. It's got like 10 minutes of build up and Brainiac is standing in Captain America outside the hospital and he's like, "You're about to find out what my plan was the whole time. Wait till you find out what Ross is actually like." It's like we know. We saw the poster on the way into the movie. This was heavily advertised.
I knew that it was Red Hulk.
So why this? You can't do this. You can't do a huge build up to a big reveal that we already know.
You can do it if, under one condition, the reveal is better than we expected and something unexpected happens afterwards. Neither of those things are true. Him turning into the Hulk was fun, but then when he became the Hulk, he just looked exactly like Mark Ruffalo. Like, it didn't even look like Harrison Ford.
I disagree. I thought it looked like Harrison Ford.
I just was like, okay, fine, it looks super CGI.
I actually thought the CG on the Hulk was good. I thought it was pretty good.
And then it's just Hulk flying, which I didn't know he could do. And then they have a fight, and then in the end...
No, he leaps. He doesn't fly.
And then in the end... he basically was flying. And then in the end, Captain America's like, "Think about your daughter. Think about the cherry blossoms." And you're just like... and then it's over. And that's all it was.
This movie had cherry blossoms everywhere. He goes to Japan. That's where they're from. But it's just like the movie thought it had something with the cherry blossoms. Like the writer was like, "Ooh, theme," and they're everywhere. They're on his wife's grave. It's just like
Washington is full of cherry blossoms.
It's just cherry blossom trees.
But one of the things
everywhere.
the film legitimately addressed, right, which is the issue that many viewers, myself included, had, which is where they would rampage through cities, just like destroying buildings and killing people and being awful, right? So, and then that kind of came back to bite them in like Black Panther and movies like that. So they didn't do that. But then I was like, okay, lads, calm down a little bit because we've now got nothing. It was just the Hulk and Captain America fighting in a sea of CGI cherry blossoms. So there were no stakes. It was so boring. Like, I've gone from being like the third act is too much in it to be like the third act needed something in it.
I actually thought the fight was all right. It was pretty
It just looked
pretty good.
So fake. Like, it was unbelievably fake looking.
Yeah, it's very green
CGI,
screen.
Yeah.
Can I? There were a couple of this film I think had a lot of reshoots. Now films do have reshoots always, but like there was a lot of talk of bad test screenings and they had to go back, and this film feels like it was chopped up to hell. Like not only that Admiral scene, but there was a moment when they're in the underground, Brainiac's underground lair, and
at no point was he called Brainiac in this film.
That's
right?
who he is anyway. I don't know. No, I don't think so. I thought the movie would go that far where it felt like we were going to get a line like the end of the Fantastic Four reboot where it was like, "You can call me Brainiac." I thought he was going to take off his glasses and do that.
He wasn't comic booky enough, to be honest.
But anyway, so they're in a fight. You know, those soldiers came in and they were brainwashed or whatever, and
when the music came on and the soldiers thing, like that was fun.
Yeah,
and then like kind of went nowhere.
Anyway, they're having a fight, and there's a moment where Cap's sidekick, the new Falcon, whose name I can't remember, is like he's got a needle held above his eye by one of the soldiers, and it's about to go in, and you're like, oh wow, and then it cuts to Sam, and then then he comes and rescues him. Like, we didn't see that get resolved. It introduces shots that it didn't resolve.
I didn't even notice
There was
that
also,
happening.
it's all these little things that bugged me and that are sloppy. This is a sloppy film. There's another moment where they arrive at that top secret base where the serpent guy was, or
And then
whatever.
they just let themselves in with no backup.
And then there's a location card came up at the top which said Nevada or something, right? But the title card stayed, the shot changed, and the title card changed. Did you notice this? This drives me nuts. No. Like, you have a static shot, traditionally, like location of the thing will come up, location disappears, and then you move on to the next shot. It moved to the next shot, the text stayed on the screen, but it had to change colour because it was now, it was black against a black background.
I have no idea
So the editor deliberately left the text on for several shots, and then it suddenly disappeared, and it is distracting as all hell.
What was distracting for me was that it didn't do that.
It's hard to explain.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about. But what was distracting for me was that at the very beginning, they never did that like Marvel Studios thing, where it kind of flips through all the Marvel stuff. So then
maybe because they're embarrassed by this movie.
Well, I don't know, but I spent ages then thinking that we were watching a cold open, and that we were eventually going to get that Marvel like credit thing. And only about halfway through the movie, I was like, okay, we're not getting this.
Instead, you got a news exposition dump from the welcome to the news.
And then,
as you know, the president has just been inaugurated. And if you haven't been around for the past 20 years...
I don't mind, like, actually helpful recap for me. I didn't mind that. But then I was like, okay, so now the Marvel thing's going to kick in.
If this was a Sony Spider-Man universe movie, if you told me that without any context, I'd be like, yeah, this feels like the same team that made Morbius and
it doesn't
all
feel
those
like Marvel
movies.
Studios just by how the colour palette and how they didn't have that sequence at the
No,
beginning.
to be fair, the MCU movies have always had a very bland colour palette.
This was particularly bland,
They're not
though.
this. Yeah,
except for the cherry blossoms.
this is consistently dull and boring looking.
They should have
like
just
all
made it
Marvel
full black
movies.
and white and just had the cherry blossoms in pink. Like, that was the vibe. Anyway, we're going to go. We've talked about this too much. Let us know what you think.
Have I
about
convinced you that it's bad?
Oh, I don't think it's good. I'm just saying it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Come over, find us on Letterboxd, Instagram, Blue Sky, and mostly we're on patreon.com/The Cinema. Let us know what you thought of this film. I hope you liked it more than we did. Dave, when we've gotten off, you can tell me what happened after the credits. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, you can just Google it, everyone.
And come over for our weekly Severance reviews, and we're going to be reviewing White Lotus and all that good stuff over on Patreon.
All right, thanks for listening.
Oh, and most importantly, leave us a podcast review.
Oh, that'd be
5 stars,
nice.
Wherever you listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
We would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, bye.
Tell me I don't make your old gear look brand new. Who's saying that? Everybody. Everybody is saying that.
In theaters everywhere, February 14th. Get tickets now.